Thank you, Princess. Testing out live because I've never gone on live on YouTube before. I've always gone live on other platforms. So testing out, see if there's anybody out here that is interested in medical coding. And I got a question in my comments about tips for finding a medical coding job where you have little experience. So that's kind of what I was thinking to talk about. But if anybody has any other questions or any concerns, we can definitely talk about other things too regarding medical coding. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting topic because that's what the most questions I get is how to find a job when you don't have that much experience in medical coding and you trying to get out here and gain experience. So we'll just start with that. And yeah. Hi. Oh, did you? Oh, about the study group. So I'm starting the study group on Tuesday. Send me an email to levelupmedicalcoding@gmail or the email that's attached to this YouTube video, this YouTube channel, and I'll respond and get you in it. If you can join, I would love to have you. It's for the CPC class. It's on Tuesday from at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time to 7 p.m. We're gonna do it through Google Meet. But I'm gonna do it I'm gonna start off with the next 4 Tuesdays just to start to see how it goes, and then we'll just discuss how we want to go from there. Because if it's hopefully it's beneficial to everybody, and if it's working, then we'll keep it up as long as we need to until you guys pass your test. So yeah, send me an email. I'll definitely send you the link for the study group. So are you taking your test soon, Katrina or Katina? So let's just get into it. Like I said, ask me whatever questions you guys have about medical coding. I'm just gonna ramble and talk about how to find a job, and we'll just go from there. Hopefully, you guys, can pick up some tips from this video and implement some stuff. I know it's hard. I know it's challenging to get your credential and then have to do other steps because that's not enough from employers. It is what it is. I don't think it's fair either, but I want to help to try to alleviate that. It's hard to type. Is it hard to type with your nails? I love them. I'm a coder too, and I want long nails, but I'm scared. No, it's not hard. Well, I've been a nail girly since I was like 14, so it's kind of in my DNA now. But it's not hard. I don't do a lot of typing. I do more correcting than anything. The longest thing that maybe I have to type is when I type my queries to my provider. And most of our queries are automated. So we use dot phrases that's already in the system. They already have them set up. So I just hit dot, whatever the little code is. And usually, for the most part, most of the verbiage that I need to type comes up. But a lot of times, too, I send the same inquiries out, pretty much repetition. So I type out my frequently asked questions to my providers in a little like code, like a OneNote sheet. And I just copy and paste for the most part. But it's not that hard to type with my nails. Nope. But thank you. Um, so Princess, how long have you been in the field? How long have you been coding? So those of you that are new, and forgive my grandson, he's back there making a lot of noise. So hopefully the mic is tuning him out. But for those of you that, oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool, Katina. So the trainer, the study group is going to be for CPC. I'm not doing a study group for CRC or any other credential yet because I have to do them one at a time, roll it out one at a time. It's a lot. It's a lot of work to do. Plus, I'm doing all these social media things and then the medical billing business, and I'm still working. So I'm just doing the CPC. But you can join us if you studying for the CPC. And if and when I do other study groups, if I'll definitely let you know when those are coming out. I'll make a video, announce it. However, we keep in contact with each other. I can let you know about that. Why would you? So this is a genuine question. Why would you decide to do CPC instead of a CCS since you're already a RHIT? Like, why would you want to be a part of two organizations? Because if you're already a part of a HEMA, and you get your CPC through AAPC, to me personally, that would seem like that's a lot to keep up with. Having to pay two membership fees, having to get CEU for two different entities. When the CCS encompasses outpatient coding already and inpatient coding, that's like a plus. Why wouldn't you go with just the CCS? What's making you lean towards CPC? I'm just curious, Katina. Just curious. So we have to type everything. I've been in the field for 2 years now. I ended up getting the position before. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is the blessed princess. Like, so you kind of got a story similar to mine. Like, you already in the field and then just kind of had your job and just had to get certified. I would hate that. Like, I hate using old systems. When we had to use 3M, that irritated me because 3M was so old and like crazy. I hated that. So yeah, I started in medical records with no experience, stayed for 2 months, and then applied for the coder position at my hospital. And they happened to love my energy and willingness to learn and grow, and decided to take a chance on me. Great point, Princess. So for anybody that is interested in getting into medical coding, Princess did it the way that I suggest, the way that I done it, the way that I know a lot of coders have done it is by getting into an entry level position and transitioning into the coding position, naturally evolving into that. A lot of times when new coders get their CPC, they apply for these jobs in the job title or whatever is being asked for in the job description calls it an entry level position, but it's really not an entry level position. I wholeheartedly believe medical coding is like an intermediate position. I don't believe it's an entry level position because one, we have to be credentialed. So that's not entry level. Like your barrier, there is a barrier to entry already that kind of like takes it out of being like something you could just start a career. You can't use coding as a start in your career. Two, because you need a different starter. Like you have to get your billing or medical records or somewhere you have to get familiar in the front office, something before you can even transition to coding. You have to get experience. They want 2 to 4 years of experience on average, typically. So that's why I don't think it's an entry level position at all. So I don't understand why the wording is when you are applying for jobs or when they're posting these jobs, they're classifying it as an entry level position. Coding is not entry level position at all. Coding is more of an intermediate position because there is a barrier to entry into getting into coding. You can't get your CPC or your CCS or your CRC or whatever credential you have and think that you go out there tomorrow and be qualified for a job. It just doesn't work that way. That's my issue. I wasn't sure which route I should take. I also have my CRC, so I wasn't sure which would be the best way since I'm looking to advance. Okay, Katina, so you are already part of both AHEMA and AAPC. So I guess the world is your oyster. For me personally, because I'm one of those people that always want to have a wide variety at my feet, be able to pick whichever path I will go. I would choose my CCS only because that also encompasses inpatient coding. And if you didn't want to stay in outpatient coding and you wanted to try your hand with inpatient coding, you already have that under your belt. And since you are already a RHIA or RHIT, I know you say you was a RH something, but you probably will want to be in a leadership position some point in your life. A lot of health systems, health organizations have inpatient and outpatient coders in their department. If you want to manage a team of inpatient and outpatient coders, having your CCS will only make you a lot more marketable because you know inpatient and outpatient coding, and you have risk adjustment coding already under your belt, which is like a trend of where medical coding is ultimately supposedly heading. So if you happen to be that person that decides you want to be in leadership, have an opportunity to head a team of inpatient and outpatient coders that's under one roof, getting your CCS will probably be the best way to go. Although the CPC wouldn't rule you out, the CCS will just equip you better because you've been exposed to, you know, the PCS. Like in CPC, we don't learn, you know, the ICD-10 CPS PCS. We don't learn that, but in the CCS, you will learn that. So you will have that under your belt in order for you to be able to grow. So if it was me, I would pick the CCS, but definitely you have to do what you're passionate about. If you're more passionate about outpatient coding and you don't want to touch inpatient coding, then I don't see what's wrong with your CPC. So, not at all. Intermediate for sure. You got that right. Yeah, I think it's intermediate. Where does medical billing fit into with medical coding? Good question, Cassie. So that's what I was getting into. So, as Princess said, we are. What I would suggest for any new coder, once you get your CPC, you're going to be a CPCA. You're going to have an apprenticeship with your credential. The best way to make sure that you gain as much experience as an employer will love for you to have would be to get into medical billing. Medical billing is absolutely an entry level position. And it's entry level because you do not have to be credentialed to be a biller. Although it's encouraged, although it's great if you do, it makes you more marketable. And it helps to give you more confidence in your skill. If you are credentialed for as a CPB, you don't have to be. That's an entry level position. You can become a medical biller just by having, you know, whatever office experience you have or customer service experience that you can translate to, you know, convince their recruiter that you could be a great medical biller. Medical billing is absolutely the job right underneath medical coding. So the natural transition is usually medical biller, then medical coder, then like medical auditor, documentation specialist, compliance, education, things like that. So if I had to start all over again and had to decide choose like a career path or create a job strategy, what I would do is while I was studying for my CPC, I will definitely try to get me a job as a medical biller. I will apply for as many medical billing jobs as I can, try to land me a position so that I can gain that experience. If medical billing wasn't available or if I wasn't successful, I would do anything in the revenue cycle. That means medical records, payment posting, charge posting, data entry in the revenue cycle department. I would do pre-authorizations, anything that says revenue cycle, anything that supports the medical coders and medical billers. I will do anything in that department. And just to get my foot into the door, if I couldn't get anything in the medical department, that's when I will go even further and try to get anything in a hospital, whether that was housekeeping, whether that was environmental services, whether that was in a cafeteria, gift shop, any other ancillary position. I would get just something to get in there and listen to Princess. She's typing some gems in the chat. But I would get anything that's I can get, any position that I can get in the healthcare system, just so I can get my name in the system and start networking with any other departments, anything like that. because you ultimately want to be in a healthcare facility that you can transfer departments rather than get in cold turkey if your ultimate goal is to be in the medical coding department. So that's what I would do. I code inpatient and outpatient multi-specialty. I swear I'm so grateful to be able to code the entire book. It will help me if and when I look for other positions. Princess, I agree with you because when I first started out coding, I my goal was to code as many specialties in as many areas as possible. I was so thirsty to code anything. I wanted to learn everything. So I coded like palliative care. I didn't code inpatient care because we didn't have the opportunity. They kept inpatient and outpatient separate in my facility, but they allowed me to be able to put my hand into anything. So I coded behavioral health. I coded palliative care, home health, hospice, ED, E&M, so many things. And I learned the nuances of a lot of different departments. So when I decided that I wanted to go for another position or another job, like I had all that stuff under my belt that I was able to take to another facility. And that helped me. So like I had a little bit of experience in radiology. The next job that I got after my first job, they wanted a behavioral health coder that had some experience in radiology, and that was me. And then when I got into my third facility that I worked for, they wanted a primary behavior health coder that coded E&M, positions, E&M encounters, but they had a concentration in dermatology. So because I had the E&M already, I always coded behavior health my whole entire career. I went back and got my specialty credential in dermatology just so I could learn the surgeries, the different procedures they did in dermatology. But I had the majority of what they was asking for. I just wanted to go back and get that credential so that I can be more confident in coding that stuff. So yeah, move around to as many specialties as you can to help to increase you for being a marketable coder, basically. Thank you so much for the answer. I was leaning towards CCS, but I didn't know if it made sense for me to go that route. But the way you put it sounds great. At some point, I do want to transition. Okay, Katina, glad I can give you some insight. Yeah, that's just what I would do. I'm the type of person that I look at big picture stuff and I'm like, okay, I want to at least, even if I don't love it, I want to at least be able to have the experience to see if that's what I want to do. And if worse come to worse, you could pick. You could pick if you like inpatient coding or if you like outpatient coding better because you have experience or you have the capability to do either one. And yeah, it just makes sense to me. Get the most bang for your buck because, as coders, we get addicted to those credentials. So it's just like, okay, if I could get a credential that encompasses a lot in one, I might as well go ahead and get that credential. I work for an Indian health service in health and human service hospital. So being in a rural area, they do so many specialties. And when I started, it scared me so much. But I just dove in. Yep. That's good. It's good that you put yourself out there like that, Princess. Like you dove in and you was willing to learn because that's ultimately what employers look for. Somebody that is willing to learn and is not scared to make the mistakes, but also is can learn and understand the mistakes that they do make, and somebody that's attentive enough that they are going to make sure that they create a workflow to help the whole revenue cycle, or at least the coding part of the revenue cycle, work efficiently. So that's good. Kudos to you. Like that's a great example of like being able to advance your career. Absolutely. And is willing to absorb as much information as I can and engulf myself in the field of medical coding and building. I must say, I have really fallen in love with the field of medical coding. And again, thank you so much for what you do for our community because there's not very many folks out there posting on YouTube. Yes, I agree, Princess. And thank you for saying that. And you're so welcome. I know, like when I first decided that I wanted to do this, it was so many years ago. It was like back before COVID, when the digital stuff was just happening. And I'm like, how can I translate medical coding into a easier to digest like way to communicate to people that's either in the field and want support or don't yet know about medical coding. And I just didn't know how to translate it. And so it's just watching other YouTube videos about medical coding and billing has helped. And just me just being, in the field for a little bit longer also help. And me being a part of AAPC, like I am an active member in AAPC. So just me being a part of AAPC has also helped me to be able to communicate that. And, I just decided I wanted to go in and start making videos. Truthfully, it was because I started the medical billing business and I wanted a way to get out there to help to market my business and to show that I'm out here and to kind of drive in, help private practice providers to showcase like, my skill. But then I was getting so many, questions about the CPC and how, proper ways to study, any tips on studying, and it kind of just took that turn. So it was just a true progression. And yeah, I appreciate the feedback and everybody that watches and like supports to let me know that it is interest out here, because medical coding can be, kind of boring, but those of us that is into the field, we know how much we try to just absorb as much information as we can out here. So I appreciate the support for real. For real, for real. But yeah, so a lot of people have the biggest complaint is getting the experience and trying to get themselves out there. And I understand the frustration, because like we pay a lot of money to get credentialed, we pay a lot of money to get our continuing education units. But what I want to say with that is that it truly does pay off, because you get it back as far as your salary that you make at work. But like Princess said, most medical coders, I hear very few people that don't love their job. Most of us love our job. Most of us, we on our free time, we if we find an article or something, like we may not sit all day and read about it, but if we hear something that pertains to our job, it does pique our interest, and we will get into it, because we know it would do nothing but help us. And the longer that you've been coding, the longer that you've been in the field, the more potential you have to earn, is that you will have. It definitely pays off in dividends the longer you've been in medical coding. So those people that have gotten your CPC, CCS, CRC, whatever, and is still struggling to find a job and is ready to give up, just my advice to you is don't give up. It does pay off, in dividends once you become a coder and been in the field for a while. It is a little bit harder to find a job at first, but all you need is that one yes. And when you get that one yes, milk that job for everything that you can get as much information as you can get, learn as many specialties as you can learn. And then you could take that to your next position if you want to change. If that's not necessarily your dream position, it will be easier for you to get your second yes than it is to get your first yes. I guarantee. I guarantee. What advice will you give those wanting to get into the field only to work from home? So, my stance on work from home is I don't know. I don't know if people go like to hear what I have to say. I don't really necessarily agree with new medical coders working from home. I know the goal for all of us is to work from home. It's definitely convenient. It's definitely something that, like you hear about in our field a lot, that you should work from home. You can get into medical coding and billing because you should work from home. But coding especially is better, especially if you're new, if you work on site, because you have the support of your lead, your management, other seasoned coders there, as well as billers that you can talk to and get information from. It's a little bit harder when you're at home and isolated. You don't know what questions really you should ask. You don't even know if something is really wrong in the system. Um, that you probably shouldn't be doing, because you're a new coder and you don't know if the system is just set up incorrectly, if that's truly in your scope of work. you don't know at first. So you just do whatever it is that you do because one, you work from home and you don't want to rock the boat. Two, you just don't know what you don't know. So I honestly believe, yes, work from home could be a go. It should be a go if that's what you desire. But be open to, in the beginning of your career, be open to working on site for a little while so you can have the camaraderie of fellow coders, fellow billers, your lead, your managers to be able to support you to get so you can gain confidence. New coders are some of the most unconfident workers that I know because we're so scared to mess up. We're so scared that we go F up the revenue cycle. We gonna mess up something for a doctor. You know, we're gonna create more work for another department. We're so scared of that that we kind of psych ourselves out in the beginning of our abilities to code. We know the stuff because man, we get the most intense curriculum that it is in administration of the medical field administration sector, but you need to be able to bounce ideas and questions off of a team, and I think it's most effective in person. So that's my spill on that, Chris. If I only limit my applications to work from home, I would not have the job that I have. Yes, apply everywhere. Man, you know what? I tell people all the time, like, the big thing is to work from home. Like everybody want to work from home. And I get that. I get that because like who don't want to work from home? But in the beginning, your goal should be to get a job. Man, I'm not trying to get into this field, spend all this money on my curriculum, spend all this money on my exam, spent all this money on my membership, on my books to stifle myself because I only want to accept a work from home job. No, I'll go on site and work on site 6 months to a year if that's the criteria, so that I can at least maybe perhaps get my membership paid for, maybe perhaps get my medical books, covered, maybe perhaps get my CEUs covered. Like I'm not trying to be coming out of pocket all that stuff. And if I have a job that's willing to, help me out, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go on site and work for you for a little while. So yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I couldn't see starting as a new coder working from home. You really need the support. You really need the support of other coders. Yes, absolutely. If my first coding position was work from home, I would not be the coder I am right now. I value the training and discipline that I'm getting right now. Agreed, Princess. Yes. I think I miss the days when, um, like, don't get me wrong. I enjoy working from home. I love working from home. It's what I prefer. But I do miss being in the office, being able to have another coder be a second set of eyes for me to look at a medical record that I'm kind of unsure about. Thinking about a different level. Maybe I'm not sure about what modifier I could use on a certain surgery. Maybe I'm like, don't understand a doctor's note, and having just somebody to be able to look at it and support me in what I'm thinking is like in the right direction, in the right area. So I miss that so much. But it is what it is. Like I wouldn't take away my work from home situation, but if I had to go into the office, I understand that too. Like, so yeah, I think like a lot of us do, we want to work from home, and it's one of the glorified things of our job. People, you hear that all the time, but it's not right for everybody. Everybody is not equipped to work from home. You get kind of lazy, and you get complacent in your work from home job. And medical coding is a job that is too much regulations for us to just be able to work from home and be, you know, just like glance over things and not take into account compliance, not take into account, regulations, payer rules, and all that. So I started on site and was allowed to cross train, observe wound care, ED, ancillary. I'm sure I wouldn't be allowed to do that working from home. Yeah. how could you do that working from home? You can Skype, I mean not Skype. You can like Teams or Zoom into another person's work queue, but a lot of coders already feel weird about you looking over their shoulder while they coding anyway. So just imagine trying to ask a coder, can they share their screen the entire day on Zoom while you watch them code? That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. So it kind of like stifles our, growth if we want to, like you say, observe wound care or observe, somebody coding, in for the cancer center and you only code for another specialty. So it does stifle, but yeah. I feel like work from home is meant for more seasoned coders that already have some years of production and coding experience. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it worked best for those that's seasoned and has work from home experience already. I think it's great for those types of employees, but or at least if you're flexible, if you live like you in the rural area and your hospital is in like a major city or something like that, and the travel time is a lot. I think it's circumstances that work from home, would be okay for, but definitely as far as the experience, yes. If you are a seasoned coder, you'll probably do better because you probably have less questions, and you know how to research already. You know where you can find the information for stuff that you need, because a lot of coders don't really utilize all the tools that we have. They don't go use their Macs. They don't go to like the CMS websites. They don't look at the transmittals. So it's so many coding references that you can use to help assist you in your coding, but you only learn that stuff as you become a seasoned coder and when you talk to other coders, because other coders may know of websites that they use, to help them code that you haven't yet to discover because you're pretty new to this field. So, you know, it is what it is. But work from home is great. It's the ultimate goal. Definitely. Definitely. But just get there. You have to get there first. I currently work as a HIM tech, so ready to go back to work from home. Have been checking out your page. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. Thanks for your encouragement. Kay Williams, you're so welcome. Thank you for those words. I appreciate the support for real. It helps me to continue to work and continue to do these videos because it makes me feel like I'm not speaking to myself and there's somebody out there that can relate because our field is very specialized. We're a very small group of people. We are the only ones that know what we're talking about. We're the only ones that speak our language. We're the only ones that can relate to each other. So it is so special when we find other coders and other billers and other HIM workers that just, is interested in this stuff. So thank you. Thank you. And I will definitely keep them coming. And I'm have a bunch of videos that I'm thinking about, I have in the works and I'm thinking about, putting out. So I'm just listening to you guys' feedback and trying to offer as much support and as much insight as I can with the information that I have, in my brain. So yeah. But like I said, I started this video. The topic that I wanted to talk about was how to get into the field and how to, get a job in medical coding. And I hear a lot of people always talk about, just the lack of experience that they have and how they get upset because, they've gotten their credential and employers want you to have already experience. And, like Princess said earlier in the comments that, she started off in medical records and that's what helped her to transition and code it. And I started out in claims adjudication. Like I just adjudicated claims at first. And then I went into medical billing. And then that's what opened my eyes to medical coding because I didn't know anything about medical coding when I first got into this profession. I didn't even know what it was. Like you hear the commercials, work from home, medical coding and billing, but I didn't quite know what it really was for real. until I became a medical biller. And then I would see these codes and I was, curious as to what these codes were and where they were getting it from. And so yeah, I was like, oh, okay, let me check this out. And I had a supervisor that actually was like, you always are in that medical coding book. Do you want to do medical coding? And I was like, yeah, I kind of do. And she encouraged me. She was like, you should go for it. I think you would be perfect for medical coding. It was my medical billing supervisor. And she's like, if you want to go into medical coding, I got your back. I'm going to help you, find a job. I'm going to recommend you. She was like, I think you are an awesome worker and you will be able to do great in this field. So she did just that. She the one gave me my first job lead. We were working one day and she came to my desk and was like, girl, did you see they just posted a position for a medical coder in the medical coding department? And I was like, no, I didn't see that. So she's like, I'm going to send it to you. She sent it to me. She actually called the medical coding manager and was like, my biller is going to apply for this job and you better give her, an interview or whatever. So the manager was like, well, when she applied, tell her to send me an email and I'll, give her an interview or whatever. So we did just that. I went to school. I started, going to taking classes through AAPC. And I, told him how close I was to getting my CPC. And I got the interview. I did the little assessment test. I did 2 interviews. And he was like, you got the job. He was like, I'm going to give you a year to get your CPC. If you don't get your CPC within that year, you're going to either have to reapply in medical billing and hope your job is still there or move on. But luckily, even though it took me 3 tries, I did get my CPC within that year. And I was a full-fledged medical coder and I've been taking off ever since. So yeah, my journey was, like that. It wasn't like I got a job straight out of like straight out of passing my CPC, even though I had my job before I had my CPC, but I felt like I transitioned in a natural way. I was a claims adjudicator. I was a medical biller for 2 years. And then I became a medical coder, which is, I think, the natural progression to help increase your odds of getting a medical coding job. Some of my favorite videos you make is when you walk through your denials. I love it. Well, thank you, Princess. Actually, I was working my denials today, and I'm behind, so I didn't record today. I was like, I'm not recording denials today because I'm so behind. Because month end this month kicked my butt. It kicked my butt so bad. I had so many. I was behind because I took a couple days off towards the end of the month, and I don't have a backup coder for me. And because I don't have a backup coder when I'm not here, it throws me off. So I had to get caught up. But I will be resuming my denial videos very, very soon once I get caught back up and get everything up and running. Oh, you're welcome, Cassie. You're welcome. Did you pay yourself? Did you pay yourself for your CPC and prep, or did your employer? No, I paid it. I paid for it myself. I actually took my tax return and purchased the class and paid for it myself. Yep. And but all my other credentials after that, my employer paid for it. So my CRC, my employer paid for. My CPCD, my employer paid for. My CPMA, my employer paid for. So yeah, all my other credentials, and now they want me to get my CUC, which is my urology credential, and they are going to pay for that as well. So yeah, they paid for it after that. I just had to put the initial investment in, and they got everything going for me. So I think that's good because I don't know if I would want to pay for all those credentials and try to figure out how to get CEUs and everything too. Yeah, it's just a bit much. It'll be a bit much. So, but yeah, any other questions? I just wanted to come on and try live for the first time. I'm gonna try to go live more often. Please, guys, if you guys have anything y'all want to talk about in live, you prefer to hear live in real time, I will definitely come on and do more of these. Um, I do have advice on resumes, Princess. So I always say optimize your resume, and I know that's kind of like a overall uh Princess, you funny. I know that's kind of like a overall like big encompassing word, but when I say optimize your resume, I want you to pick out a job. I want each job to have its own resume, so to speak. So when you're going out there and you're job searching, you decide that, oh, this is the position that I want to apply for. Keep that job posting open while you're typing up your resume, and make sure that you highlight any EHRs that you've worked in, any experiences that you have, any like specialties that you've coded, any projects that you've worked on to help like enhance the revenue cycle, made the revenue cycle more efficient, any special projects that you had your hand in. Make sure you highlight that. Make sure you highlight your productivity and how well you're organized. Make sure you mention something about, adhering to a turnaround time. Like some employers like a 3-day window. Some employers, they call it 72-hour turnaround time, 48-hour turnaround time. So make sure that you optimize your resume to showcase things that in the medical coding department, that's valuable and that's respected and that's encouraged, so that they know that you already have an understanding of what the role entails. And also, of course, your credentials. You want to optimize your credentials. You want to make sure that even if you're not credentialed in something and you have extensive experience in that specialty, make sure you highlight that as well as your communication skills, because we do send queries to, different departments. So you have to understand the proper way to communicate with other providers, other billers, other people in the revenue cycle, and all that. Resume should probably be 1 page. If it's 2 pages, that's cool, but try to keep it at 1 page if possible. You don't have to put references available upon request. We already know that. That's standard. That's standard. So if that's one thing that makes your resume long, take that off. We know that they can ask for, references. Um, Hi, and how are you? I am doing well. I wanted to ask, with medical coding, is it possible to work nights, evenings, part-time shifts? I work in credentialing at the moment and need to change my resume. So with medical coding, yes, it is possible to work nights, it's possible to work evenings, and it's possible to work weekends, because we barely have communications with other entities that only work 9 to 5. If billing, it's probably harder to do billing nights and evenings, but medical coding is definitely doable. You may not find a lot of positions that likes you to work evenings and likes you to work, like off-brand hours, because they want their providers to be able to have access to their coder when they need it. Providers do, send coders questions sometimes, especially when they are unsure of a new procedure that they're doing, or they want to make sure that a diagnosis code is acceptable. Hold on, Kylan. Hold on 1 second, baby. So they do want to have access to their coders, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. Here's a tip: send a resume directly to the coding manager. Get the name off the internet by Googling, and then do the app online. Jane.
Here. Here.